Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for this second day of July 2020. I just finished Esoteric Influences for today, and I'm uploading it now. And when I'm done here, I'll go ahead and publish it over there at Stepping Aside. So it's going to be over there on the side panel. I'll post it everywhere else too, my personal Facebook page, Stepping Aside's Facebook page, everything, Twitter, LinkedIn, all of it. It goes everywhere. I won't be able to publish it to Pinterest because it's longer than 15 minutes. It has to be under 15 minutes to post on Pinterest, but it'll go on Instagram as well. So watch for that. And if you would, I'd love you to do that. And thank you so much. If this is your first time coming here, thanks for coming. I appreciate you so much. Click subscribe. I'd love you to do that. And do check out my blog over at imsteppingaside.com. It's called Stepping Aside. It's a witch and herbalism blog. Mostly witchy, but there's herbalism in there too. A lot of esoteric stuff is on there, so check it out. I'm kind of proud of it, and I do all the writing for it. So anyhow, check that out. And let's see, I did, what did I do? Oh, I did Tuesday Tarot with the Heindel deck over there at Medium. So I also write on Medium, so check that out as well. And if you want to check out my Patreon page, you can do that too over it. And it's just Patreon's /Jan Erickson. So check that out and follow me there. So I don't have any tiers set up. It's donation. I think that they default to like $1 a month or something like that. I think I saw that on there after I did that. But if you want to see the patron stuff, you have to pledge either. You can do it monthly or you could do it for a whole year. It doesn't matter. But that's how you see the patron stuff, and instead of just the stuff I post for public. So anyhow, there's that to do if you want to do that. Also, I have a newsletter that I put out on Sundays. It usually has, it has the esoteric influences in it. Sometimes I'll include an affiliate thing. I'm an affiliate marketer, and I do a little bit of that to monetize my blog. Although I've done more here since November or December, I think. But I think I'm gonna. I've been scaling it back. I'm not really. To try to sell people stuff during a pandemic, I don't know. I'm not a salesperson. I never have been, and I'm really uncomfortable with it. So I'm going to wuss out, and I'm going to just find passive ways on the blog to do that, to monetize it, and I'm probably going to be less direct. Although you'll still see affiliate links in posts, and you're still going to see some ads, but they're not the crazy ones. So anyway, just bear with me, and I'm just trying to monetize the blog a little bit. I'm not earning a living. I'm not even earning income from it. So it's just one of those things. So anyway, I'd still like you to check it out because it's a fun place, especially if you work magic or you're interested in that, or you're interested in herbalism or esoteric things, So anyway, we have a 2 energy day, cause and effect, duality, polarity, decisions, balance. Works real well with the 7-month energy here today, with taking a step back and letting things settle out and see how things go. So if you add that then to the 2, then you're kind of doing that as far as decisions that you have to make. Maybe don't just gather information and don't do anything. Just kind of sit back and watch and see what happens. Sometimes we act and we don't need to. Sometimes situations resolve themselves. You're going to know if that's not going to happen though, right? You will. You need to trust that. You'll know. You'll know when the right time is like, okay, I've sat here and watched long enough, and so you're going to go and do something about it. So that's kind of the energy for today. So anyway, I think I've shuffled enough. Let's go ahead and take our first 3 cards. If we need any more, we'll take them. Otherwise, we're going to move on to I put my new Rowan runes that I did into my original, my favorite rune bag. I crochet my rune bags. So this one, I just love it. It turned out really well. And I use Sock Ease, Lion Brand Sock Ease yarn. If you haven't used Sock Ease yarn, it is so cool. It's real thin, but it's stretchy, and so it's like for socks. I use them for little wristies, you know, instead of gloves. I make the little wristies. I love them for that, and I love them for beanie hats. It's really great yarn to use for beanie hats. It's the Sock Ease yarn. I just love it. I hope they still sell it because it's cool. I know when I was using it, really cool colors. I love this one, but then I love these colors, don't you? I don't know why I've gotten into pinks in my old age, but I am. I was never a pink person before. I was always earthy colors, you know, dark colors. Browns, blues, grays, greens, but the dark version. When you're born a witch, you gravitate toward those colors, I guess. I don't know. But now I'm into pink. My husband's like, what are you wearing? What's with the pink? He says, I like it, but what's with the pink? Well, it goes well with my hair, right? The lighter the pink, the better even. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Now I'm going to take the 13th card each time for randomness sake because I don't want my shuffling to influence the reading itself. So for this one, any other ones, like when I did the Heindel Tarot reading for Tuesday Tarot over on Medium, I didn't do that. I just laid them out. So, and it was so cool because it was all major cards, and one of them was the star, which shows the goddess literally emerging out of the rocks, washing her hair in the pool. Oh, the imagery is it's just profound, and I love it. It may be my favorite card in the deck. I don't know, but anyway, it was cool reading. It was fun to do. So check it out over there if you want to. Oh, we have the Lovers. We had this the other day. Card 6 of the Major Arcana, talking about polarity and balance on this 2-day of polarity and balance. Take our next card here. Oh, maybe we're going to have a run on majors here. The World, card 21. Coming full circle, completing everything. As the World Turns was a soap opera back in the day. I don't even know when it came on, but I suspect it came on before I was born. I was born in 1957. And I know that my aunt up in Alaska, when we were living up there, when I was a kid, we moved to Portland when I was still 10. I was almost 11, but I was there from, let's see, was I 5 or 6? All told, we were there about 6 years. And but anyway, she had her programs. Those were her programs. I think As the World Turns was one of them. But in the afternoon, she would sit down because she'd get all her work done, and they owned a laundromat that they had next door in the little town there in Eagle River, Alaska. And she would just be available, but then she had her programs. And so, she'd try to get someone else to take over, one of the kids or someone she had working for her, and she'd just sit there and watch her programs. I think it was one of them. But the World, every time I see it, I think As the World Turns. And I think of my aunt, who was my favorite aunt. Don't know why, but there's just something about her. I just thought she was cool. Always. Just thought she was a neat lady. Oops. I don't do reversals. Listen, you can. A lot of tarot readers do. They'll do reversals, and so you just do the reverse of what the traditional or whatever your interpretation of it is. You're going to do the reverse of it, right? I don't do that. I look at them in their entirety. So I want to talk about something that includes both sides of the coin, all right? Not just one side. I don't think that's very useful. I think just like in looking at astrology, I'm not an astrologer. I know some things about it, but I don't call myself an astrologer, even though I do some astrology on the blog and everything, and I do it here and in Esoteric Influences. But that doesn't mean I call myself an astrologer. But at the same time, I want to look at, when I'm looking at that, I want to look at an influence of a planet. I talked about Sagittarian, the moon's in Sagittarius right now. Well, Sagittarians are leaders, but they also have no tact. Okay? So, I mean, they'll shoot their mouth off, and maybe they can always be 100% right, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes the way they say it is like they get irritated, It's like, why aren't you listening to me? I just told you, and so then the mouth goes, right? So, but to look at the Sagittarian, you can't just look at it in terms of, oh, they're a leader, without looking at maybe they got a mouth problem too about it. So anyway, that's why I don't look at reversals. I don't do it with runes, and I don't do it with tarot. So here we have the Knight of Cups. We had this one recently too. I don't think this week though. Off on a quest with his Grail cup in his hand. So I think that what we're going to do here is we're going to put the Knight in the center. I suspect we might need another card to maybe define a little more about the direction of this Knight, but we're going to look at him as the significator, or the energy that the two major cards are going to influence. We'll look at it that way. If you know anything about planetary astrological aspects, one of them is called a yod. Now, a yod is a skewed triangle, all right? You've got the base of two planets or two planetary bodies influencing, well, they don't understand, but what they're doing actually shores up the one at the point, okay, the focal point. So they like each other. The two are in sextile with one another, but they're, is it in conjunct or quincunx? Same thing, with the one at the point, the focal point. So they're giving them direction, they're giving them support, they're influencing, but in a sense, I don't know, I kind of see it as maybe a little bit indirect, but it's getting there. But their interaction is it's an easy interaction with each other, not so much with the focal point. But hopefully, it's providing some influence. And so that's how I'm going to see this reading for today. We're going to have the Knight of Cups be the focal point, as in a yod, being influenced by the world and the Lovers. So, just got to decide whether or not I want to start with the world. I'm going to do it both ways. All right, let's start with the Knight. Cups is the water element. It's our emotions. It's our heart. It's about change, momentum, flow. You see, look on his helmet there. You see that winged sun on the back of his helmet? That it is moving backwards like that denotes forward progress. Almost like the wind is blowing and he's, moving on. You have the steed, the white steed with the golden mane, ready to he's raising his foot, getting ready to step over the stream, the winding stream of emotions. He's facing his fear, isn't he? Eyes open, visor up, ready to meet whatever his new experiences with trust and compassion and offering. A Knight is very much like a Sagittarian, a leader. Think the rune Tiwaz. Maybe we'll even get lucky and we'll draw Tiwaz today. But think about the spiritual warrior within. And then imagine that in terms of the water element and our emotional resonance and our ability to show empathy and compassion. Our ability to meld together in unity and reciprocity. Think Gebo in that regard. Maybe we'll choose that today. Maybe we'll draw it from the rune bag. We'll see. I don't know. I never know. I just let them fall through my hand, and whatever's left is what it is. It's how I do bind runes when I do rune magic. I set my intention, and I grab my bag, I stick my hand in, and I just start letting them fall through. Whenever the last one's there, that's the rune. I draw between 3 and 5 runes, depending. I know when to stop. I just know. I don't know why. I just do. I don't do any more than 5. It's not uncommon for me just to do 4. But if it's all Norn runes I'm drawing, then I'll stop with just those and just do 3. But basically, I let the runes decide the bind rune. Okay? I set the intention. The runes follow through for me every single time and give me exactly what I need. So we'll see. We'll see what that does today with respect to the reading. But I really think that we're talking about going forward in shared purpose with people, setting a new course, letting go of emotions that no longer serve us, letting go of the conflict that's no longer serving us, and that we move forward in shared purpose. Now, how are we going to do that? Let's talk about the Lovers. This card 6 of the Major Arcana. You're talking these are all soul archetype cards, okay? Whereas, this is from the Quart. It's part of the Minor Arcana. This is about, and the Quart is really about, age, okay? The varying stages of life. Whereas the small cards in the suits, that's all about the little nuts and bolts and the nitty gritty, okay? But when we're talking the major cards, we're talking about the overarching influences after the Fool takes the leap into form, because that's androgynous energy there. It's neither male nor female. But once the leap is taken past the abyss, then the gender happens. Okay? Then we decide whether, we're going to be, we decided it before leaping in, but we're going to be either a man or a woman, male or female. But until then, we're not. The Fool is not either. It's just energy. It's soul focusing in, taking that leap of faith into form. And then you've got the rest of the cards 1 through 10, from the ace up through the 10, that help us along that journey on a daily basis, right? The little nuts and bolts of how the ego is dealing. It basically is how the ego deals with things. Okay, how much trouble we get into when we forget that we're soul, forget that we're spirit, and we focus only on the ego and react to everything in sight. Instead of stepping back, taking a look from the standpoint of source vision and going, wait a minute, there's a bigger picture here. Okay? But the Lovers, we see the angel above with the sun shining its rays. That's source energy, okay? That's source energy. Cosmic rays come through the sun, they go through the Big Dipper, they go through Sirius, they hit the planet, they hit us, and they influence everything. That's the stuff of creation, okay? And it's hitting us at all times, moving through the zodiac, moving through the planets, and coloring everything about our existence here, coloring everything about us. We have the angel sitting atop the clouds. And I say this every time I get this, okay, for those of you that have a different viewpoint religiously, you may see this differently than I do, and I accept that. I'm just going to ask you to do the same for me, because I don't see it the way you do. So anyhow, that's okay. I want you to take a look here. We have the angel on the clouds. A little bit of illusion, but they're mostly clear. We've got the man and the woman nude, Adam and Eve. We've got the challenges behind them with that mountain. But look what's behind them. We've got this abundant, well, no, I'm going to start with the oak tree. The oak tree's just beginning. The oak tree's not full. The oak tree's not abundant. The oak tree just has a few leaves on it. So there's only so much strength there behind the man, behind Adam. Look at where he's looking. He's looking at her. Now look at where she's looking. She's acknowledging the spirit within. He's down below the abyss. He's only seeing ego. She's looking at spirit. Look what's behind her. Ooh, tree of knowledge. Got a serpent around it. Got apples all in it, looks like. The reason that Eve was given, or the woman, we shall say, the reason why women were given the knowledge is because women could hear the message. Women understood the connection between spirit that men did not. Life emerged from the woman, not the man. And so she had creation on her mind. She had the success of the family on her mind. She had the success of all of life on her mind. And so she was aligned with Goddess presence. She was aligned with earth energies, and she understood the truth of things. The serpent energy, there you see the serpent wound around. This was not the devil. I don't believe in a devil. I think there's certainly egoic energies that are problematic, and that's your devil, but I don't think there was an individual called the devil. I don't think that the people, the watchers that were here, the extraterrestrials that were here, over the course of billions of years, okay, our genetics have been manipulated. Now, some thinking says that there was a time in our history where the resonance, the frequency of the earth and the beings on it, including the humans, was in any human type of were so high, far higher than what we are now. And so how we existed here was far different. But then something happened, and there was a dormancy period for the earth where who we were, it was no longer, it was just a dead planet for that time. But then higher frequencies decided to come back in and say, okay, let's get things going again. And so we had the rebirth of the earth and the people on it. But again, we had people coming here to help populate this planet. And whatever they did, there were various incarnations of different kinds of humans. Eventually, it all got settled out as to what we were going to look like. And then there was some diversity that happened. So that's why we have differing skin types and colors. It's why we have, different colored eyes. It's why we have, just different, there's different body type differences between the different humans that live on this planet. But that's all it was. It was to allow for diversity of expression here. And so you had different groups that created, that took their people to one section and did their thing. And that's how this all happened. All right. And so consequently, when you talk about the so-called watchers, these were that gave all of this information to the women that bred with them, and supposedly the Nephilim were created from that, the giants, and I mean giants. But then that's what they were here. The people that were here were giant, that were here at the time, the extraterrestrials. They were on planet, they were big. So it makes sense that we would have that, especially if they were interbreeding with the women that were here at the time. So basically, when we talk about then the tree of life and the serpent, and giving all, or not the tree of life, but the tree of knowledge, and the serpent giving all of this to Eve, well, that's because she could handle it, and she could actually manifest with it. The women here could do that. The men were wrapped up in whatever the men were doing. So the glue that held everything together was the woman. So that's who the knowledge had to go to. And I'm sorry that it got confused and that she got a bad rap, because she shouldn't have. But that was the birth of patriarchy, and now we are where we are. So if we're going to go forth in shared purpose with others, we've got to come into balance with one another. We've got to understand that we're not the enemy. We have to allow Goddess presence to return into our lives so that we can balance the polarity that we have caused a problem with for so long. When you have masculine energy running amok, it doesn't matter if it's in the body of a woman or a man. If you've got that masculine resonance that's going too far, Nothing good's going to happen from it. Just as if you have too much passive resonance, feminine resonance is too passive, you're not going to go anywhere either. I mean, you're really not going to go anywhere there. You're going to let all kinds of things happen to you, and people will get over on you. I mean, it's either extreme is not right. But we have been so heavily weighted on the masculine side of things that women have become the enemy. It's ridiculous. So we need to balance the polarity within if we expect to go forward in shared purpose and compassion and empathy with other people. We do that, we come full circle, don't we? You see the lemnis gates above and below, the 888, signifying constant change, right? It never ends. We see the 4 expressions of the elements, different from the glyphs. So this would be air, water, fire, earth. And now we're back. I know it looks like a woman, but it's actually more androgynous, holding 2 scrolls in her hand, a drape around her body. And we've come full circle. We've embraced the polarity within and without. We've found a better structure there, a different balance, and we're able to go forward and shared purpose with others. Let's do one more card and see if we can just get a little bit more information, either about what the situation was and where we're, or maybe where we're going. The Queen of Wands. This particular queen is fiery. You see her cat down there. You see her lions on her throne there. She's holding a staff. It might be a little bit bent down there, but she's still in charge. She's holding a sunflower in one hand. Vitality. You can see on her throne, this is a very powerful queen. The family crest is on there that involves lions and sunflowers. She even has, I believe she even has sunflowers in her crown, doesn't she? Or above her crown. Maybe they're just adorning in her hair, but maybe they're part of the crown. It kind of looks like it's part of the crown. Queen of Wands is dynamic. And I suspect that she has more to do with Eve in this card, and probably represents the androgynous person here, or not so androgynous. Just depends on the deck. Sometimes you'll see them, it's androgyny to androgyny. I don't know, because you come full circle and now you're ready to begin again. You're going to start that whole process over again, where you'll take the leap back into form if it's that sort of thing. I mean, it could just simply be, okay, you're ending one phase and moving into another. And it's not about, the body dying off and, and you incarnating somewhere else. It's not that. Well, it could be, but it's not that. I don't think it's that here. But I think that the Queen of Wands is going to tell us to take the bull by the horns a little bit and to speak truth to power and not be afraid, really, even though the moon's in Sagittarius, not to be too afraid. I mean, you want to come across right, but you can't. Look, you can't, if something needs to be said, it needs to be said. I don't know. Sometimes you can apologize and say, you know what, this is going to come out all wrong, but I don't know how else to say it. And you say it and everybody goes, oh, you're right. Let's see if we can find a better way for you. But the point is that shared purpose and shared abundance and shared direction isn't always easy. Sometimes, like I've said before, it's like herding cats. We all have our own ideas, what we think that should be. Have to get on the same page, though. Have to become aligned in some kind of agreed upon understanding. And once you do that, see, then the way forward is clear. Because as things come up, then you'll take a look at, okay, what did we decide to do? Well, we decided to do this. So You apply it to the situation, and maybe you got to modify it a little bit because every situation is different, or maybe you don't. All I'm saying is that establish that shared path forward today with others, and then use that commitment to sustain it going forward. Doesn't mean things will always be smooth sailing. We see that that's not the case because there's a mountain between them. But the point is that there's a mountain between us if we allow the polarity to get out of whack. Whether it's within or without, with other people, right? So some assertion may be needed. Why won't my bag open? Some assertion may be needed. A little fire energy to get things going. You need to speak your own truth. Stand in your own power. But again, get on a shared path with others. We're in a pandemic. Virus is spiking everywhere. We're also trying to restructure our police departments so they don't hurt people anymore. I do hope that they paint Black Lives Matter in front of Trump Tower. I don't know. Is it bad for me to feel good about that? I don't know. We have Kenas, the sixth rune of the Elder Futhark, aligning with the Lovers and the light of spirit informing the whole thing, informing our reciprocity with other people, so that we can move forward in shared purpose as the world turns in my aunt's living room on her program. But seriously, as we come full circle and we understand now that here we are again, and we've prepared the way, we've learned the lessons, we know now what to do. You can think of it as a training period. It's like when you start a new job, okay? I don't care if you know, say you're a computer programmer and you're a pretty good one. Well, they might let you just sit down and run with what you know, but they also might want you to know how they do things. Maybe that, they use, one particular programming language, that's what they're using there, and you're maybe a little, it, but you're more proficient on the other, and yeah, you'd rather use the other, but you're going to have to do this one that they do. So you're always going to have this orientation or training or probationary period where you're learning about what you're doing. You're learning about the job you have. You go to a grocery store, you have cashier in training. You go to anywhere, bus driver in training. It assumes that even though you have skills to offer, or you wouldn't have gotten the job, likely, there are ways of doing things within that structure that they're going to need you to do them that way. So you got to know what they are. So you have the training period, right? Yeah. You can think of the major arcana is all the soul archetypes, the overarching themes in your life that are part of your training here. You can think of it that way. And then when you're done, you come full circle and you're ready to begin. You've graduated. And now you can proceed on with confidence and surety, right? I don't know. In clarity and truth. So let's see what our geomancy rune is for today. Let's see. Ooh. Well, okay. Where's my pen? We have what is known as little boy energy today. So a lack of impulse control, short-sightedness, getting carried away. You know how I raised two boys. They're wonderful, but you got to watch them because they're going to do stuff. I had really great kids. I didn't have to deal with getting in trouble or anything like that. They just didn't do stuff like that. But like when they were in public school, we pulled them out and homeschooled eventually. But while they were there, I didn't have to worry about them. They didn't cause any ruckus in school. They didn't have any behavior problems. They just didn't. And so, but that doesn't mean that they didn't get into stuff, and they did. And so got to watch them, right? Well, that's this kind of energy. It's called pure. Its complement is puella, which is flighty little girl energy. I've said this before. I've confessed this, that I was a puella growing up. Flighty little girl energy. Well, when you're a witch and an empath, when you're born that way, everything is interesting. Here's the thing. I saw this graphic one time, and I posted it on my Facebook page. It was of a little girl, and it had this caption above, and I can't even remember, but something about, I wanted to be this or this or this, but I couldn't, so I decided to be a witch so I could learn everything, so I could know everything, or so I could know things. I just thought that was hilarious, and it's true. Whether you think you've chosen this, you haven't. You've always been what you are, but maybe you don't realize it until later on in life. It's not uncommon for women my age to suddenly realize, hey, I think I'm going to take up witchcraft. It was in you all along. Really, it was. But anyway, we've got some poor energy today. Little impulse control with the moon in Sagittarius. It's not uncommon for that. Again, Sagittarians can sometimes lack tact. They can not be very tactful, and so sometimes they have to kind of take it back and say it better. But and that could be what we're talking about today. So also, given that Mercury's in retrograde, communications can be impacted, and sometimes miscommunication results. Here's the thing. If an adult is acting out, it's not that you don't want to pay attention. If an adult is expressing the poor energy, it's not that you don't want to pay attention, because you do, because they could do something, either intentionally or inadvertently, to cause harm to others, right? So you have to watch, you have to pay attention, but it doesn't mean you need to get into it with them yet. It might be a situation that resolves itself, but you're going to have to watch. And particularly now with Mercury still in retrograde, you're just going to have to kind of take a step back and watch this and say, okay, what am I really seeing here? Is this something I need to react to, or is this something that may be just a function of the moment, and eventually it's all going to go away? So I suspect that's what we're talking about with that kind of energy today. Again, it's a 2-day. We want to find balance. We want to understand cause and effect so that we can find balance. But, at the end of the day here, it's going to be what it's going to be. Try to, not take the bait, not get yourself into situations where you're doing things when you don't know what you're doing. That's the other part of poor. You're talking youthful energy. And so what's youth? Well, they don't have enough experience. In other words, they're still in training. We're back to the training concept, right? They're still in training. They're in life training, particularly when they're kids. But not everybody loses that energy as they get older, and they lack impulse control. And they react and they act and they do it before thinking. They do it before knowing what the whole picture is. So I don't know. I think when we come full circle here today, it tells us that maybe we have finally achieved an understanding about something, and now we're ready to put it into practice in a manner where we move forward in shared purpose and abundance together. Dropping resistance, dropping the ego, dropping the I want to control everything. Sagittarians sometimes do that. So the moon is there right now, and so there may be a little struggle with it. And hopefully it stays in the realm of poor energy and not in rubious energy, which is the adult version of this. And it's more, a little more purposeful in its expression. And so it's considered an evil influence, although I don't actually like to take that as an evil influence. I just take it as something that's a little more adult-like and a little more problematic. Okay, so try not to let the Sagittarian influence on the moon move you from a poor state to a rubious state, and you should be okay today. So anyhow, I think that's it. I don't think I really have any more to say about this. So again, I'm going to put the esoteric influences up again on Sunday. Check those out. Look for those every day, though. I keep doing those every day, and they don't take me all that long. So I don't see why I just don't do them every day. And so I've been doing it. I thought about doing them all, you know, in one day for the whole week, but then how am I going to talk about what happens each day or what happened the day before? So that won't go in there. And so I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to do this every day. It doesn't take me long, and I'm just going to do it. But so look for that over on the blog. Look for Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune. It'll go right underneath the esoteric influences over there on the side panel. I also post them over on my Patreon page and all of that. But and I post it around Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, not Instagram, LinkedIn. I think a link to it goes up on Pinterest, but not the whole thing. Because again, it has to be under 15 minutes to post there. I swear to God, it was 15 minutes and 1 second. Then one was 15 minutes. They didn't take it. It had to be under. It's like, really? I don't know. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I won't be back until Monday. We just do this 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. So this will have to tide you over, unless you do tarot readings yourself, and then you can look at your own cards. So anyway, but thanks so much for coming by. I do appreciate it. And be good to yourself. Be good to one another. Wear a mask, and blessed be.